Well, it's here. The Neverwinter Combat Rework update is live. For those that missed it, the Combat Rework went live Thursday, the 21st of January, 2021 in Neverwinter. And with it brings a whole host of changes. There's a lot. There's a lot to this. And honestly, it can feel a little overwhelming. At a glance, it looks very different to how the game worked previously. So I'm here to offer you a couple of tips to try and ease your transition from Mod 19 Neverwinter into Mod 20. Alright, so first thing you're going to notice when you log in is that your rewards claim agent is flashing. Inside, you can get a pack of mount tokens, comp tokens, a rank 15 enchant choice pack, and a rank 15 runestone choice pack. You should definitely go and get those. I won't tell you exactly what runestones and enchants to get, because it's going to vary depending on your class and whatnot, but I can say you should strongly consider dark enchants. I'll tell you why later in the video. Alright, next thing you'll notice is that your companion's bonding runestones are now sitting in your inventory. That is because, with this update, bonding runestones have been removed from the game. Companions no longer need bonding runestones. They now give 100% of their ratings to you. All companions do that. Augment companions give additional bonuses to specific ratings based on the companion. For example, Bullet Pup gives combat advantage, defense, and power. With those bonding runestones now in your inventory and useless, you might go and refine them, right? Wrong! Don't do it! Head over to the Antiquity Scholar in Protector's Enclave and exchange them. Bonding runestones can be exchanged for an amount of astral diamonds based on this graph, or a rank 15 enchant / runestone choice pack of equivalent rank. The enchant or runestone you get from that pack is bound to account. I highly recommend just taking the astral diamonds. Right now the market is a little overinflated due to this influx of AD into the game, but give it a month and it'll resettle back down to what it used to be or close to, and then you can spend your AD freely. While you're in the Antiquity Scholar, you should also notice that radiant enchants can be exchanged. Well, that's weird. Why would they do that? Well, that is because of the stat changes. Let's cover that really fast. When you open up your character sheet, you will notice a lot of differences. You now have a rating and a total percentage for each stat. The other thing you'll notice is some ratings might be orange and some totals might be green. When your stats change from white to either orange for ratings or green for total percentages, that is because they are at cap. All stats have a cap now. No more infinite power. And the cap is no longer based on the content you are running. It is now based on your total item level. The rating stat gets compared to the total item level. If they are the same, if you have a rating that is exactly the same as your total item level, you will get 50% total percentage. You can then stack on percentage bonuses above that for a maximum of 90%. You can get percentage bonuses from companion powers and boons. Boons now no longer give item level, but they do give percentages instead of ratings. Guild boons still give ratings and item level as always. So while this might initially sound really confusing and overwhelming, it's not too bad once you start working on it and you start changing your stats. Here's some tips. Number one, it seems like the current meta is going to be getting your stats close to, but not to cap, so that you can get a wide variety of stats near cap. And then using different consumes, equipment buffs, and things like that to then bump them over the cap. For instance, I get my power to about 86%. And then I use my forager box or a watermelon sorbet before combat, and it bumps me up to 90% power. For me, the same goes for crit sev with the potent precision power. Now, if you've been playing for a while, you will notice armor penetration is no longer a stat. It has been removed. Most sources of armor penetration that were in the game have been replaced with crit severity. Crit severity is now considered a main stat. So here's just a couple of quick tips. Number 1, diversify your insignias. If you were like me, you spent a lot of time getting full power insignias. That's probably not the best move now that power is at cap. Unless, of course, you're going to drop some other sources of power. But hitting the ratings cap, because insignias still give ratings, hitting the ratings cap for power, at least as a DPS class, is very easy at now. Just getting the basic gear puts you very close to cap. Tip number 2, diversify your enchants. Previously, this is specifically on DPS, I am mostly a DPS player, but it was kind of the same for other classes too. There was one type of enchant that was more useful than anything else. For DPS, it was Radiant. You put all, at least for Rogue, you do all Radiance in all defense and offensive slots. Just Radiance, nothing else. Radiance! Well, that's not really the meta anymore. Like I said, it's really easy to get to power cap. I have currently been trading out all of my Radiant enchants for mostly Assassin enchants. It seems like tri-stat enchants are going to be way more valuable with this new system of getting a variety of stats close to cap, but not quite over it, and then buffing them up. And for utility enchants, I highly recommend Dark enchants. They used to give Companion Influence. That is another stat that is out the door. Instead, now we have Forte. Now, what is Forte? Now, Forte is similar to the old Companion Influence in that it is a stat that gives you other stats. Where it differs is what stats you get from Forte is dependent on your Paragon path. I put a link down below to a chart that shows what all of the things are in the official blog post about this combat rework. I highly recommend you read through it. You can view your Forte from your powers tab of your character sheet under mechanics. Like I said, for each Paragon path, it is different. For instance, Arcanist Wizards get 50% power, 25% combat advantage, and 25% deflect of the total Forte stat. Whereas a Soulweaver Warlock will get Soulweave regen 50%, combat advantage, and crit avoidance. So it's really based on your Paragon path. Right now it seems like the best source of Forte is Dark enchants. All right, let's talk a little bit about the changes to Companions. So I already mentioned Bonding Runestones, gone. Next, you'll notice Companion leveling, gone. No more experience for Companions. Those experience scrolls can also be exchanged. Now, when you open up your Companion roster, you just upgrade them with the appropriate number of Astral Diamonds or comp tokens. No need to do the Guild Stronghold quest every single day to pump experience into companions that you want to level up. You'll also notice that companion categories have been removed. Your total companion bolster is now based on your total number of companions, not based on the companions in a total category. This also means that the number of companions you need to get to Mythic rank, yes, companions upgrade to Mythic now, for 100% bolster, is greater than it was before. Each Mythic companion gives 10% bolster, so you will need 10 Mythic companions to reach 100% companion bolster. Companion bolster is calculated by the sum of your 10 highest rank companions. So getting 10 mythic companions will put your bolster at 100%. Since all companions give 100% ratings to you, now is a really good time to start experimenting with some companions that you would never have used before. I'm currently running Kenku Archer because I love Kenku. They're just so cute. Look at them. It also means we can diversify our powers a little bit. If you get your crit set to 90% without needing potent precision, highly recommend checking out Armor Break. Since armor penetration is no longer a stat, debuffs are now super useful. I would also say diversify your companion runestones. I swapped out all of my empowereds for a variety of others, but since I'm planning on trying to run some more active companions, I've put in an Indomitable runestone to give my companion 20% more damage. Now, let's just quickly talk about mounts. Mounts have not changed from the last mount update, so don't worry about that. I just want to mention, it is now more important than ever to get your mount bolster to 100% whenever you can. As with companions, mount bolster is calculated by the sum of your 10 highest companions. So 10 mythic mounts will get you 100% bolster. It is also a good time to change out your passive mount power. No more 10k power. Maybe throw something else in. Hit points might be useful. All right, let's talk about damage. You might have noticed that your weapons no longer have a weapon damage stat. That is because weapons no longer give weapon damage. Damage is now just damage. You can find it under your maximum hit points on your character sheet. Damage is calculated based on your total item level, just like hit points are now. So if you want to do more damage, equipping higher quality gear will help you do that. Same thing with if you want more HP. By the way, if you're wondering, yes, we are getting free retrains. I believe each loadout should get a free retrain, so you can go and adjust your feats and your boons accordingly. I strongly recommend throwing in some more of your defensive boons and maybe your offensive boons. But especially look at awareness. Now, my awareness is low. Before anyone says anything, I know my awareness is low. But awareness is way more important now than it used to be. Awareness used to be a throwaway stat that nobody cared about. All bosses now have combat advantage. And combat advantage damage does more damage to you. Combat advantage hurts. It is really easy to get ganged up by a group of mobs. Same thing with it is easy to get one shot by a boss if your awareness is low. So make sure you are finding sources of awareness. That is probably why your characters feel squishier than normal. And also just defensive stats are way more useful now. From my testing, enemies take only a little bit more damage than they did before. They're just a little bit tankier, but they're not that bad. However, they're dishing out a lot more damage than before. You should think about increasing your defensive stats. Oh, I forgot to mention scaling. All right, my final thing I'm going to mention is scaling. This has been a problem in Neverwinter for a long time. Going into older content, you felt ridiculously overpowered. And it honestly hurt the game. It made a lot of older dungeons not really all that enjoyable to run. And for new players who just barely unlocked dungeons and queued for their very first cloak tower, it felt awful. You would not even be able to catch up to the enemies before your team of people that are being scaled down just wiped the floor and got to the first boss already before you get to where they are. With this new system, it does make those older dungeons more difficult. Last night, I ran a non-master Cragmire Crypts, a normal Cragmire Crypts. And if you blindfolded me and just threw me in the dungeon and said, here you go, here's Master Cragmire Crypts, I would have totally believed you. It felt exactly like running the master version, but lower level people can run it. And the reason that I think that's a good change is it means that new players coming into the game actually can get a feel for what dungeons are like. I've talked to a lot of new players, and a lot of their complaints are, yeah, the game's fun, the combat's fun, but whenever I go and run a dungeon, it just feels boring. Everyone just rushes through and there's no fights. You just rush through and AoE everything down until you get to the boss. And then he dies in 4 hits. And then you run to the next boss and he dies in 4 hits. I know you've seen this. With this new system, that is not the case. Dungeons feel like proper dungeons. I heard a rumor. With normal mode dungeons being more challenging now, some of the premium rewards that you can get in epic dungeons, like wards and comp tokens and mount tokens and things like that, might start showing up in normal mode dungeons since they now feel like real content. And also, this just adds a whole bunch of new dungeons for people to play. Hooray! Oh, that's new. You guys ever seen that before? Did I just pull comp tokens out of a normal mode dungeon? All right, that's enough of that for now. I personally love these changes. I think they've made the whole thing just a little bit more challenging, which overall makes the game a way more enjoyable one to play. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Leave a like on the video if it was helpful or if you liked it. I stream Neverwinter Wednesday through Sunday, twitch.tv/Bryce Loves Gaming. You should come hang out. And I'm working on 2 new kind of longer videos. One of them is a Should You Play Neverwinter in 2021? Spoiler alert, I think you should. The other one I've been kind of keeping a secret. But it's a comparison from mod 2 to mod 20. Comparison of old Neverwinter to current. We'll talk about differences, new player mostly a lot of new player experience differences is what the main thing is going to be talking about. All right, as always, leave a like, leave a comment, maybe subscribe. Post videos similar to this regularly, and I'll see you in Neverwinter.